But tonight I ask that we raise our glasses. God bless France. God bless our alliance. And God bless America.
Word out of Washington is apparently 6 months of those text messages between the lovebirds have been located and are about to be released to Congress.
That Columbia law professor James Comey used to leak sensitive memos. He previously worked as a special government employee for the FBI while Comey was director.
Overnight, busloads of Central American migrants ignoring warnings from President Trump arriving at the southern border.
We can't afford to let everybody in this country. We have to have merit-based immigration. We have to look at who's coming in, and we have to be selective.
The last couple of days, we've seen this real bromance develop between the president and his French counterpart.
Thank you.
I like him a lot.
Welcome to my house, baby, take control now. We can't even slow down. We don't have to go a while.
I do not think this is what they
that
were.
Melania singing? Welcome to my house. You don't think they were playing that last night?
I think that's what they said. I don't think Flo Rida was actually.
Flo Rida. I never thought I'd hear you say that.
That is
Florida. Flo Rida.
breaking news, properly pronounced.
All right.
It is her house, and she did a beautiful job. If you saw the pictures of the state dinner last night, hosting Emmanuel Macron,
It
the
was.
first state dinner, the 14th time that we have hosted as a country, France to a state dinner.
Our longest ally, who were there, they were with us there in
Since the revolution.
1775.
And today we are hosting the great Pete Hegseth,
I don't
who
know
is
about
in
that.
Brian's place. He's
Appreciate that
off. I
title.
think he's back tomorrow.
Who served our country?
Proudly.
I tried, like so many of you did, so thank you for being here.
Indeed. Meanwhile, let's talk a little bit about that story. Welcome to our house, the big house, the White House. President Trump and Emmanuel Macron toasting to an unbreakable friendship between our countries at the president's first state dinner.
The president and the first lady pulling out all the stops at the White House.
Our own Griff Jenkins is live in Washington with more of the details. Griff, good morning.
Good morning, guys. When you say bromance, you think of Sinatra and Sammy Davis, and there was Damon and Affleck. But now this bromance has crossed the Atlantic. This relationship just keeps growing. We've seen the handshakes, the hugs, and even the air kisses. And it was all on full display at last night's toast.
May our friendship grow even deeper. May our kinship grow even stronger. And may our sacred liberty never die.
Please allow me to raise my glass to the friendship, the unbreakable friendship between France and the United States.
The alliance may be producing a significant breakthrough after a day of critical talks over the Iran nuclear deal. With that May 12th deadline looming, President Trump continued to oppose the deal, calling it insane. But President Macron surprised many when he suggested charting a new path forward, saying the current deal is not sufficient and therefore we should stay in it while working on a new deal. Macron will continue making that case when he addresses a joint session of Congress later this morning. But back to the goat cheese gâteau. It was First Lady Melania who stole the show with that hat. The First Lady shining in the moment after taking the lead and planning the dinner down to every last detail. And the president toasting her, calling Melania, quote, America's incredible First Lady. The hat, if you were wondering, by the way, is by Hervé Pierre. Her evening gown by Chanel, hand-painted with silver and embroidered with crystal and sequins, a clear nod to France's exceptional high fashion. And her counterpart, Madame Macron, wore Louis Vuitton. Guys.
I love it. And she also picked out the menu. And even though the president doesn't drink, she picked out all of the wine for the evening. And she picked the Evenstad Reserve 2015. I got to look that up and see how much it is. It's Chardonnay, grown from French plants from Dijon. And then the Pinot Noir is a Lorraine 2014. And the motto is French soul, Oregon soul.
Any comment on those, Griff?
Delicious.
No, except for you can go to the White House's webpage and watch a video the First Lady put together. In planning all these details, she was really quite hands-on.
Look at that. All right, Griff, thank you very much.
Griff. Appreciate it.
Two of the wines were from Oregon and one was from Napa
Wouldn't that
Valley.
be a great gift, though, if you had to give a gift for a friend? These are the wines from the state dinner.
It all depends on how expensive they are.
That's true. That's why I got to look it up first.
And you look at those images, it was fantastic. But do you remember when candidate Donald Trump was out on the campaign trail when he said, those the state dinners are so expensive. If I'm elected president, I'll probably just have we'll have hamburgers on a conference table. But But of course,
a little more than hamburgers.
that did not happen, but that looked like a great time was had by all.
That's right. A relationship that is clearly genuine between the two of them, even if there are some serious policy differences there. And some news on Iran and a possible difference in a deal.
Right.
You know, President Trump very critical of Obama's deal. Maybe there's a different way to do it.
A new deal.
Yes.
Yeah, we will have to see. Also, speaking of relationships, James Comey had a relationship with that professor that he leaked the information to, even though originally he said he didn't leak. And but in the interview and in the book, he did admit to leaking. And this guy, his name is Daniel Richman, and we are just learning he had SGE. That is a special status at the FBI. Special government employee is what that stands for.
That's right. So that kind of changes everything because he had special status. He had security clearance. So the secret documents that Comey gave him that he could leak, he could, it looks like, could actually view them. What's interesting is, though, out of 30, the FBI has 35,000 employees. Why did James Comey have to give another FBI employee these leaks that these documents? We don't know how many times this guy actually leaked to any press.
No, we don't.
We know for sure once. But was it others? And by the way, this guy now is one of his attorneys, along with former U.S. Attorney Peter Fitzgerald. So now there's that
client attorney privilege.
Exactly.
So he chose a friend, someone in the media, a law professor, an attorney, and he gave him status at the FBI. He covered all of his bases.
Of course he did. So on the surface, it almost looks better, right? You're like, well, this guy had a security clearance, so if Comey's given him the documents. But it's no better. In fact, it's even more insidious.
Right.
It's almost like leak laundering. Okay, I'm going to give the leaked documents to someone else with clearance to protect myself and have some standoff. Then he'll leak it so I can plausibly deny that I was never a leaker.
And remember last week, it's been about 10 days now, Mr. Comey said with George Stephanopoulos, I'm not a liar, I'm not a leaker, and I don't do those weasel things. This kind of looks like a weasel thing.
It sure does, and the whole thing. Well, I just gave them to my college professor buddy. Remember when he was talking about the original story, made it sound so innocuous. Like I gave it to a professor friend, and he shared it with some reporters. Clearly, there was a system in play here to get information.
In the memos, he said he was not a leaker, that he didn't do that type of thing. But then when he interviewed with George, he did say, I did give it to my journalist friend because there were all those reporters in my driveway, and I didn't know which one to give it to, so I picked one that I knew personally.
Yep. All right.
Lots of sides to that.
Meanwhile, also down in Washington, Nancy Pelosi was addressing students at Georgetown University. And we played a soundbite for you in the first hour where a kid goes, hey, Mrs. Pelosi, my family has benefited from the tax cuts, helped pay off home mortgage and helped put me through college. Do you still call them crumbs? And she said, yes, I still call them crumbs because there was a banquet for the top 1%. But then the question came around about DACA. What do you think about DACA? And she made this observation about Republicans that we wanted to play for you.
It's about people, human beings, all God's children. They go to church on Sunday, a lot of these people who are so anti. And I say to my colleagues, you pray in church on Sunday, and then you pray on people the rest of the week. What is this?
Think about that. The impugning of the motives of people who have faith and are serious about it, and then if they take a policy position different than Nancy Pelosi, then they're hypocrites with their faith.
Many of those people,
and they want to hurt these people.
Many of those people who have faith in the president to keep our country safe. It's not that they don't have a heart for these individuals. You see those pictures of children trying to cross the border, and just like Tomi Lahren said, she understands why they want to come to America. Sure. It's such an amazing country. We don't have to worry about a coup in the streets or a shooting in the streets constantly. We're safe when we go to cafes. But I think this president or most Americans want it to remain that way.
Sure.
That's all it is.
I think a good follow-up question would have been, after she said that, would have been like, now, Mrs. Pelosi, I forget. Why didn't you work on a DACA fix when the president wanted to, and you just dropped the ball because it's an election year?
No, and he gave you 3 times as many people a path to citizenship, and you guys didn't do anything. What about, you want to talk about a heart, what about the heart the president and others have for citizens of this country, for lawful Americans
people
who have been
taxes.
Forgotten and left behind, who pay taxes, and then are have a serious problem with illegal immigrants or crime and drugs and
or
gangs.
those who did it the right way and were on the list for a long time.
Absolutely. So to say one has heart and the other doesn't, it shows you where the mindset of so many of these Democrats are. Trump is evil. Trump supporters are evil, and we're going to resist them.
Mm-hmm. Georgetown University is a tough university to get into. The United States of America should be hard to get into, too.
That's a good...
Right?
I like that.
Am I right?
Well
I'm just saying.
You're almost perfect if it weren't for just a little bit of that.
We need Lint Force One, just a lint roller. Maybe that would help out.
All right, Jillian has some more headlines for us. Hey, Jillian.
Good morning.
Good morning to you guys. Let's get you caught up on some of the other stories we're following, starting with this Fox News alert. Breaking overnight, a suspect arrested, accused of shooting 2 police officers at a Home Depot. Armando Juarez led into the Dallas County Jail. Police say he shot the officers and a security guard when they tried to arrest him. Juarez captured after a high-speed chase and a 5-hour manhunt.
All 3 officers are out of surgery. That is the 2 police officers from Dallas and our loss prevention officer from Home Depot. They're out of surgery, and we're asking for your continued prayers.
All of the victims remain hospitalized in critical condition. President Trump standing by his VA chief nominee hours after suggesting he step aside. Ronnie Jackson's confirmation hearing is postponed as the Senate looks into allegations he created a hostile work environment and overprescribing drugs. The claims despite past praise from President Trump and former President Obama.
Here's the best bet we have. These are the fitness report and counseling records from President Obama. Gave very high marks to Ronnie Jackson, quote, a most impressive leader who continues to perform at the flag officer level, meaning admiral. Ronnie has earned my confidence and the gratitude of my family for his diligence and knowledge.
If confirmed, Jackson will take over for David Shulkin. An Air Force fighter pilot ejects to safety moments before the plane crash lands. The F-16 sliding off the runway at Lake Havasu Airport in Arizona. The pilot was not seriously hurt and an investigation is underway. This crash, the latest in a string of dangerous military plane incidents. This year, there have already been 11 deaths from aviation accidents. 7 people have died this month alone. You may not know his name, but you know and love his work.
Conjunction Junction, what's your function? Hooking up words and phrases and clauses.
You love that, right? You know that. The man best known for writing and performing iconic Schoolhouse Rock songs like Conjunction Junction has died. Bob Dura began working on music in the Army Special Services Band. He died of natural causes at his home in Pennsylvania. Bob Dura was 94 years old.
Very cool.
The man behind the music.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, Jillian, thank you very much.
Thanks, Jillian.
Awesome.
Well, the parents of a terminally ill baby overseas are fighting to save his life. You might have heard about this story. Their government is ordering them to pull the plug. We are live with a growing legal battle coming up next.
Plus, CNN reporter Jim Acosta taking a shot at the president's supporters. Shocker. Calling them stupid. Former Press Secretary Sean Spicer knows what it's like to go head-to-head with Acosta. In fact, Acosta named him when he made those comments. Here to react directly, coming up, Sean Spicer.
The parents of a critically ill baby boy, that one, pleading to save his life.
Little Alfie Evans taken off of life support by order of a UK court. Now they want to take him to Italy, his parents, for treatment.
Fraser Maud from Sky News is outside the hospital in Liverpool, where Alfie's parents are in his room giving him mouth-to-mouth to keep him alive. Fraser?
Yes, this is going to go back to the courts again this afternoon, the situation regarding Alfie Evans. His parents have taken his case to the very highest courts in the country, indeed the very highest courts in Europe. He's had his case heard in the High Court, in the Court of Appeal, the Supreme Court and the Court of Human Rights. He's been set back at every one of those. They've appealed against the appeals. They've had those overturned as well. The most recent court case was just yesterday afternoon. At the moment, it's 39 hours since Alfie Evans was taken off his life support, and the judge yesterday said that he would be allowed to leave the hospital, something his parents have wanted for some time, but only to be taken to a hospice or to be taken to the family home, not to be taken to Italy. The family say they have jets, military jets, on standby from the Italian government, ready to take him to the Bambino Gesù hospital in Rome for further treatment. But the doctors here say any further treatment would not help Alfie's case at all. They have removed his life support. They've now begun his end-of-life care program, and it's 39 hours now and counting since that life support was removed. His parents have had to give him mouth-to-mouth at times to keep him alive. He's only been given oxygen and water, but once again his case will be heard by the highest court in the land, the Court of Appeal in London, this afternoon at 2 o'clock UK time.
All right, Fraser Maughan alive outside that London hospital. We thank you very much.
Parents want to take the child out of the hospital, and they can't even do that. This child is 2 years old. Imagine if that were your kid.
The government won't let them make a choice about their own
To send them
kids,
to another
take them to another hospital that's willing to take them in.
Right.
Is this what
It's the greatest
socialized
fears.
medicine looks like?
Well, that's the greatest fear of what the manifestation of it could look like. Death panels and someone else making a decision for you.
Because over there, the patient's rights are different than the parent's rights. Of course, the patient can't speak for himself, so you would think it would be the parent. But no, it's the government that is deciding this.
Scary stuff.
And they were expecting him, once they did take him off, to die pretty much immediately. And now here we are all these hours later. He's still alive.
2 years old.
Doctors aren't God.
I know. More on this in about an hour. In the meantime, a middle school teacher is accused of bullying one of her students because he cited Fox News. That student and his dad join us next.
And your exact term was Fox News is fake news, lies. What else did you say about Fox News, I guess?
I think that was it.
Fox and Friends on this Wednesday. Time now for your news by the numbers. First, 13 tons. That's how much cocaine the U.S. Coast Guard just unloaded at Port Everglades in Florida. The drugs have a street value of nearly $1 billion and were recently seized in the Pacific Ocean. Somewhere, someone is very unhappy. Next, 60. That's how many illegal immigrants ICE says they arrested over a 5-day operation in New Jersey. It focused on people convicted of things like sexual assault, abuse, and drunk driving. Well done, ICE. And finally, 59. That's how many illegal immigrants Border Patrol agents found inside this trailer in Laredo, Texas. The driver and passenger, both U.S. citizens, are under arrest. Ainsley, over the railing and down to you.
Good deal. Thank you so much. An Indiana man is accusing his son's teacher of pushing a political agenda on the students. Todd Hine says that his son Jacob was shamed and bullied by a middle school teacher, all because he cited Fox News as a source for an assignment. Todd Hine and his 14-year-old son Jacob join us now with more. Good morning to you. Thanks for being with us.
Hi, thanks for having us.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
All right, Todd, you're welcome, Jacob. Todd, I'll start with you because I listened to your radio interview. I know you were on with a local reporter, and you were on telling the story of what happened. So tell our viewers at home what the assignment was in this Spanish class.
Absolutely. Every week, the students are assigned through Spanish to read any type of current event news article, translate that into Spanish, and then turn that in. This particular incident, his teacher, he turned in an article on the U.S. Navy capturing a UFO on their radar. She came up to him in class in front of everybody and said, I noticed that you cited Fox News on your last article as well, and I want you to know that Fox News is fake news. It's full of lies, and you're no longer to use Fox News as a source for any of these assignments.
Wow.
Obviously, he was embarrassed, scared. She went on to say that she has a new assignment for him. He's not to do the normal homework assignment tonight. He's actually to Google any of President Trump's many lies that he's told since he's been president and turn in a full-page paper on that in the morning.
Unbelievable. Jacob, this is not a social studies class, a political science class. This is Spanish. And throughout the year, you have been told, find an article in the news and translate it into Spanish, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so you do that, and you keep going to Fox News sites, our website, and you pull stories off of our site. Has nothing to do with politics. You're just pulling a story. Everyone covered that story. CNN covered it, NBC, USA Today. So it wasn't political. It wasn't about the fact that this teacher didn't believe in UFOs. It was the fact that she doesn't like Fox News, right?
Yeah, that is correct.
Okay, and did she embarrass you in class? Was this public?
Yes, this was in the middle of class. We were doing an assignment, and she came up to my desk and started speaking to me in front of the whole class.
Wow. And I understand you're an honors student, so it's not like you're, giving her any problems. So, Todd, you called the school, you talked to the teacher, and we have that exchange, that phone call. Did you record it?
Actually, it was a meeting that we requested with the principal, the vice principal, the teacher, and my wife and myself, yes.
Okay, let's listen to that exchange.
Stated that you came up to him and said that you needed to discuss his news translation articles with him. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. Okay. And your concern was that he is citing Fox News. Mm-hmm. And your exact term was Fox News is fake news, lies. What else did you say about Fox News, I guess?
I think that was it.
Did she apologize? First of all, you're allowed to record, right? Is it a one-party state?
Yes,
Did
ma'am.
she know you were recording? All right, so did she apologize? What was her response after that?
Yes, ma'am. The very next day, after I'd called the school and complained, she did pull Jacob aside and said that she was sorry for what she had said to him.
Okay. We have a statement from the school. It says Fort Wayne Community Schools does not condone the kind of behavior detailed by this parent. When we were notified, we immediately investigated and took appropriate action. Because this is a personal matter, we cannot provide details of the outcome of the investigation. So she embarrassed her son in class, made that public, but they're not making public their punishment. Are you satisfied with that?
Absolutely not. I actually got a hold of the school district yesterday. The gentleman I spoke with there said that the investigation has been completed. The outcome would not be told to myself or my wife. It was a personnel matter and would be handled internally.
Was she fired?
No, she was not. I asked him that question. He said no.
Jacob, how do you feel?
Well, I feel pretty bad about the situation. It was very embarrassing for me because she singled me out in class and was talking bad about this. And just the whole situation, it was completely random and it was very shocking to me.
A lot of people don't want to stand up and be public with something like this because they're scared of retaliation, Todd. And as the parent of Jacob, were you worried about that? Why did you want to make it public?
Well, I mean, we felt like we had no other options after our phone call yesterday. Again, this is something that nationally we're hearing almost on a daily basis now. It used to be college level, high school. Now we're getting into middle and grade school even. Like you said, somebody needs to stand up. He has done nothing wrong in this situation. He took all the repercussion for it, as far as we know. I mean, everything was fine with her to continue what she's doing. Even after this incident, she gave an assignment 3 days after our meeting to go ahead and figure out why Donald Trump has not done enough to help the people of Puerto Rico since the hurricanes. And again, this is after our meeting, our initial meeting, when we voiced our concerns, and she admitted to berating him in front of his classmates and bullying him. So.
Wow, maybe she's in the wrong profession. Maybe she needs to run for office. Todd, Jacob, thanks so much for being with us and for being brave. We appreciate it.
Thanks for your time.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. A new threat in the skies. The NYPD on alert for terrorists using drones. Brett Velikovich used drones to hunt terrorists and says the danger is very real, and he's going to join us live. And everyone is talking about the bromance budding between President Trump and the French President Emmanuel Macron. What does former Press Secretary Sean Spicer think about that? He's here walking into our studio. He joins us live next.
Mr. President, they're all saying what a great relationship we have.
Thank you.
I like him a lot. It is really great to be with you, and you are a special friend. Thank you.
Thank you.
You did a good job. Did a great job.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We do have a very special relationship. In fact, I'll get that little piece of dandruff off. That little piece. We have to make him perfect. He is perfect.
Look at that.
Oh, gosh, I can't believe we did that. Yeah, you're right. He's saying, where's the French music? Cue the French music. Sean Spicer. Yeah.
My goodness. That's customer service.
There we go.
Can we run that again? Joining us right now, our good friend, Sean Spicer. We are good friends. You've been on the show twice.
I mean, I'm not going to get rid of the stuff on your jacket. We're not Macron-Trump close, but we're friends.
That's because he already got rid of it.
That's right. You remember him. He was the president's press secretary for a very long time, and he's the author of an upcoming book called The Briefing. And that, ladies Ladies and gentlemen, the world premiere. This is the first time anybody has seen the cover art.
When does it come out?
July 24th.
Congratulations.
It's available for pre-order right now on both Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com.
What's it about?
You can actually get a signed copy right now on BarnesandNoble.com, too, as well as Amazon. So get out there, pre-order. Great. I mean, I got to keep up with you. That's the problem. You keep churning out these bestsellers. I'm going to learn from the best.
Yours will be too.
So, what do you think of the state dinner and the bromance, as it's being called?
I think it's great. The idea that people, when Trump got elected, were concerned about our standing in the world, and you look at that kind of relationship, not just in France, but so many other countries where the president's developed these personal relationships that are benefiting our country and our people, is fantastic. I will say one other thing. Beyond the president, the First Lady knocked it out of the park again. What an amazing state dinner, and a tribute to what a great job our country does putting out the red carpet.
I don't think people understand how important personal relationships are for this president, too. I mean, there's not a whole lot of things they agree on policy. I mean, Macron's a globalist who is against the Iran deal, but a personal relationship...
Well, the president's against the Iran deal, too.
No, excuse me, he's for the Iran deal. No, he was... Right. Macron was for the Iran deal. Excuse me, you're right. So, but personal relationships gives him a chance to actually still get something done.
Absolutely. I mean, he recognizes from business that if you have a relationship with somebody, that you can cut through the clutter a lot of times, cut through the staff, the bureaucracy, and get things done. And you look, whether it's North Korea sitting down to denuclearize that peninsula, trade deals, other economic things that benefit our workers, the president's using those personal skills to really benefit the country and our people.
All right, lots of news about these text messages. Strzok and Page, those lovebirds. We've been seeing some of their text messages being released. Apparently more are going to be released
That could be its own book.
What do you think about this? What are we
like a
going to find
romance
in
novel.
this?
We're going to get the missing 6 months.
Yeah, I think it's important to understand what's going on behind the scenes. If people want to talk about a fair and objective investigation, understanding the mindset of the people who are looking into it is important. So I think it is concerning, and the extent to which will be further revealed by these text messages. But I think it's important for people to understand the context of how some of this investigation was conducted.
Also, now we're realizing that apparently the guy that James Comey gave the secret memos to leak to the New York Times, it turns out Mr. Comey apparently deputized him and made him a special government employee with special access, and so maybe he did have access to these top secrets and stuff like that. The more you peel back, the weirder it gets.
Well, the interesting thing for me as a conservative is that if any of these circumstances had been on the other foot during an Obama administration or a Clinton administration, people would be going absolutely nuts. But because people are so hell-bent on going after this president and going after conservatives, they sort of are willing to excuse all the improprieties that have existed to get us to this point.
Absolutely.
Crazy.
Well, on another topic we had to get your take on, you might remember your good friend from CNN, journalist Jim Acosta.
Very close.
Very close, right?
I mean, I'm not wiping anything off his jacket, I'll tell you that.
Well, he mentioned your name yesterday.
I've heard. On Fox and Friends, I heard.
Insinuated a few other things about the rest of you. Listen to him.
The problem is that people around the country don't know it's an act. They're not in on the act, and they take what he says very seriously, and they take attacks from Sean Spicer and Sarah Sanders and what they do to us on a daily basis very seriously. They don't have all their faculties in some cases. Their elevator might not hit all floors.
Whoa, so he's saying that the president, his demeanor, that's all an act. That guy on TV and at the state dinner, that's all an act. And the people who voted for him are crazy.
Well, Act 1, get more jobs to the American people, complete. Act 2, strengthen our position in the world, complete. I mean, if this is an act, it's a pretty good play, because right now the American people are benefiting pretty well. So bad on him. Look, part of the reason I wrote this book, The Briefing, which is
available for pre-order right now,
which is because I talk about some of those interactions. But
so Jim might make the book.
Oh, I think he's in the book.
What does it say, though, seriously about the voter? Because the voters were called deplorables. The voters that he's calling them, they don't have their faculties. That they're stupid.
I think this is, it's sad to see that. In all seriousness, because what I think it continues to show is a lack of understanding. We saw an executive from ABC News after the election talk about we need to get a firmer grasp of what's going on in this country, which I think is a good sign. I think when folks in these big urban areas who have been sort of around an elite group of people in the media or in Wall Street finally get to understand what's going on in rural America, the troubles that they feel, the way they feel that they've been left behind, and why this president is addressing their concerns is important. So for Jim not to understand understand that, and for him to continue to dismiss and frankly make fun of and ridicule people around this country is really sad and really shows you how little of an understanding they have of what's happening in this country.
They still think they're saving America from the president.
I know.
That's their job.
And that's again. I don't mind that from a liberal activist. I get it. I've been doing this a long time. But when you have a purported...
He's the White House
correspondent saying that the people don't get it. That's a problem. And when you're further insulting them, saying that they don't have their faculties, I wasn't attacking Jim. Frankly, I was attacking the premise of bad stories, bad narratives, false information. And I continue to believe that that's important because I believe in a fair and, I believe in the First Amendment. I believe in a robust press, but I don't believe that false narratives should go unanswered. And I think the lack of his understanding of what's happening in this country is still a fundamental problem with so many people in the mainstream elite media.
Tomi Lahren earlier loved it. She
was fired up.
Yeah, she said, I'm glad. This only helps Republicans down the road. Do you agree with that?
I do, because I think what happens is people who may not even agree with the president or Republicans on all issues say, you know what, at least they're willing to try and address our concerns. They're willing to listen. And what most people want more than anything else is someone to understand the plight that they're going through, to be willing to help deal with some of the problems that they're facing. And when this president has clearly given them voice. And I think that's important.
Sean, thanks for dropping
Thanks,
by.
guys.
Remember, his book comes out in July the 23rd. It's called The Briefing.
You can buy it now.
Well done.
The Briefing. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you. Bet. All right, well, police on alert for terrorists using drones to attack our country. Brett Velikovich used drones to hunt these bad guys down and says the danger is very real. He joins us next.
And what happens when all the Fox and Friends moms get together? There we are.
She looks sorry. Look at us. We're a mess over here.
There is more where that came from. All of my Fox Mom friends are going to join us live coming up. Anna's here for the week. She brought Brooks. And Janice is holding one of the babies. There's Jackie, and there's my little girl.
Listen to this. A new terror threat rising into the skies of New York City. The New York City Police Department is trying to prevent terrorists from using drones to attack the Big Apple. So how real is that threat, and how should we combat it? Here with special insight, former Special Ops Intel analyst and author of Drone Warrior, Brett Velikovich. Brett, good morning to you.
Nice to see you, Steve.
All right, so the New York City cops are a little freaked out. They're worried that the bad guys, might start using drones here in New York City.
Yeah, and I don't blame them. I think the natural state of the technology right now is such that we may see more of these threats. So right now, drone technology is really being used in some very interesting ways. And so overseas, we're seeing a lot of stuff being adapted from this activity that's taking place with groups like ISIS and organizations that have been adapting drone technology to conduct strikes, against American soldiers and other entities like that. And so in New York in particular, we've seen a huge spike in the amount of illegal drone flights that have been taking place around the city. Pilots reported over 200 illegal drone flights entering their airspace last year alone. And that's kind of a turning point when it comes to this technology and what it's being used for.
Absolutely. So how many of those 200 are evildoers, and how many are, hey, I just got this new thing from Sharper Image?
Right. Well, I think that's the problem. You don't necessarily know, and all it takes is one to essentially cause some sort of havoc. Right. So, the reality is, I think we're really going to see more of this. The technology is being used, from the battlefield and used in very interesting ways. And so, we really need to look at this threat, monitor it, and provide insight to law enforcement officials and let them understand that they need to really do something, or we could have a bad situation on our hands.
Over on the big board, we've got a bit of a timeline. It was January of 2018. There was a drone swarm attack, targets over a Russian air base and naval station, apparently in Syria, right? What's a swarm attack?
Right. So a swarm attack is when multiple drones are in the air and they're all heading towards a target. And to really understand how to combat something like that, you have to understand the global threat right now that we're facing. Right now, militants are really seeing drone technology as a way to wreak havoc unlike ever before. And so we've seen attacks on Russian bases in Syria, where drones have had explosives attached to them. We've seen the Houthis, who are supported by Iran covertly that are conducting strikes, drone improvised strikes against Saudi radar facilities. We've seen Boko Haram using them against Nigerian officials for surveillance purposes, and this is the future of that. And we've talked about it before, but the fact is this isn't really meant to be this kind of drone fear-mongering type event. We're not going to
be ready.
You got to be ready.
You got to be prepared.
Right, and we're not going to walk outside Manhattan and see a bunch of drones dropping stuff on us right now. But I think recently there was a restaurant that had it was dropping grilled cheese sandwiches, which sounds delicious. But we just need to be prepared. That's all. And so it's really meant to be a public service message to local officials to understand this threat is real, and let's stop it before anything bad happens.
All right, Brett, we thank you very much for joining us live.
Thank you.
Cautionary tale. All right. There are so many moms in the house. That's coming up next.
Well, we have loved having Anna Koyman back on the curvy couch with her precious son, Brooks, who was just born a few months ago. But we couldn't let her leave without sharing some advice. So we all got together for a Fox and Friends mom party at Abby's apartment. Take a look.
Welcome to the U.S.
Thank you.
Just staring at her. Look at this.
Isn't he?
Oh, there's a lot. He can actually making eyes.
Oh boy, this could be trouble.
Whoa.
Fox and Friends romance.
How's life been? Is it so different?
Well, I didn't know how I would be as a mom because I've always been a career woman. I just love it. I just feel so at ease and at home, and
It's almost like you care about something so much more than yourself.
All right, so what advice do y'all have for her?
yeah, what advice do you guys have for me?
My limited experience as a mom is taking that time to yourself makes you a better mom. You know, sometimes you think, I can't leave it, I'm a bad mom, and it's okay to realize you need to take some time for yourself. You know, I think it's healthy.
I think every mom would say, I'm doing the best I can.
Yeah. We use that today. Like, it doesn't matter how old your kids are, because mine are 9 and 7. It's still the same. You're doing the best you can. Listen, my advice is take the advice, but then do what's right for you guys.
I will never compare myself again to any other woman the way they do things because everyone's different.
Yes.
Every baby's different, every body's different, and you just figure out what works for you.
I think there'll be a lot of what ifs. Yeah. And I feel that stress too. I always think with my girls are doing the right thing. You'll always have the what ifs, and you just have to do your best and let God do the rest. Yeah. Look at us. We're a mess over here.
Hayden's organizing our nursery.
Oh my gosh, did she throw on that?
She looks sorry.
I think we should all sign the chair.
Guys, we got a big old poop over here. It's my guy.
Be amazing.
You're the baby whisperer.
I'm a baby whisperer.
All right, so we have some viewer questions.
I ate everything.
I couldn't touch
It was just carbs, bread,
Sweet
pretzels.
potato fries were my weakness.
Yes.
You know what else came back? Our kids' sugar cereal. Like Frosted Flakes. I was like, why do I want Frosted? And
because they're great.
Little things like he'll play with the kids and just run upstairs and chase them around.
I've caught my husband singing to Isabel. He's like the worst voice in the world.
Is he tone deaf? That's awesome.
But does she love it?
I hear Tim in the nursery going, ooh, ooh, because he just started cooing. But don't you fall in love with your husband just a little bit more? 100%.
That's tough because I feel like we all had such great parents.
My mom worked a bunch of different odd jobs, and I don't feel like she ever had a job that she truly loved, that I saw her go to day in and day out. But I hope that they can see how much I love what I do.
Be able to show our children that your dreams can come true. This is America.
Work hard, you get ahead, right?
And those are the lessons we can teach our kids and say, look, we did it. Coda, is it so much fun having a little brother?
I don't know.
This is her special blankie that she sleeps with.
Look.
Can I have it?
We had a snow day and Theodore was like, well, I don't want to stay home. I would like to go learn.
Well, she's super sweet like you. While I was in there nursing, she came in and brought him 2 books to read and then a blanket and said, this is for the baby.
The other day, Mama, we can't eat yet. We need to say the blessing.
Oh.
And I was like, oh.
It's cute. I love hearing their first prayers. And Coda's prayers are so sweet. And my husband and I just look at each other and we're like, yes, we're doing something right.
lucky to have each other too. I'm just gonna say, having good girlfriends, having women that you can talk to and get advice from another, like, they're not perfect either and they're trying to figure it out. That is so key.
Say cheese.
Cheese.
That was so much fun. So Hayden drew all over Isabel's little chair. So
It gave it character.
we got
That's
you
the
a
best.
new one.
Oh my God. Isabel, you guys.
In all Isabel, fairness, I'm sorry.
Hayden, this is your chair. You want to go sit
all
in
you
it?
have.
Hayden,
you want to draw all over this chair?
Just keep the crayons.
It was the highlight of the whole day when she was scribbling on the chair.
So it turns out JJ had crayon and started coloring on her marble table.
You know what? You guys have prepared me for motherhood, though.
Yes.
We sure
and isn't it fun just knowing each other in a different season of our lives? We've known each other for a long time, and yeah,
Mommy,
it just
we're so glad to have you back.
Oh, thank you.
Tell
I'm
us,
so happy
and
to be
tell
back.
us what you're doing. You have a segment, Proud American?
Yes. So, last year, I'm living in Sydney, Australia after marrying an Aussie, but I get back here a lot and so proud of the red, white, and blue. I love to wave that flag. Last year, I did the Proud American segment for us in Southport, North Carolina, my home state. This year, we are doing it in Norfolk, Virginia. And of course, every year we ask you to send in your patriotic pictures and be part of it. And there's a big old picnic, and we're going to be doing a lot of military events and things like that. So a lot to look forward to in July, and I'm so honored that Fox is having me back again this year for it.
You're so good at it.
Yeah, you are.
Isabel loves her new chair, by the way.
Janice's kids are going to be on the show tomorrow, and hers are stuck in traffic. More Fox and Friends coming up. Michelle Malkin.